Welcome everybody to today's presentation, Online Forms for Employee Safety in the New World of Work. This presentation is part of a larger series we're putting on, in which we talk to technology leaders about the challenges businesses are facing today and what they can do to stay agile and productive in our new world of work. On this slide, you can see some of the past webinars in our series. On-demand recordings of past presentations and registrations for future ones are on the Ricoh USA website. The link is at the bottom of this slide, so check it out if you're interested. I am Gretchen Patefield. I'm a digital services specialist for Ricoh, and joining me today is Caleb Wolf.
Hi everybody, it's good to be with you today.
Before we jump in, I just want to let you know that if you have any questions, you can add them to the chat at any time, and we'll answer them at the end. As you know, the way we work has changed, with a large portion of the workforce shifting to working from home. But as restrictions ease and as businesses reopen, employees are looking to go back as well. A recent survey showed that only 12% of U.S. workers want to remain working at home full-time. For those of you who are working at home or are still working at home, I think you can understand why. Avoiding distractions is cited as a major reason to go back to the office, with half saying it's hard to avoid distractions while working from home. People want to be able to go somewhere that they can focus, and the office or workplace is where they can do that best. 40% said that their focus is their top reason for wanting to return to the workplace. But the main reason people want to return to the office is easier collaboration and a sense of community. 3/4 of respondents said that the people are what they miss the most about going to work. So then the big question is, how can people return to their workplace safely? Here are a few key recommendations for returning to the workspace based on CDC guidelines. You can find more established details on their website. The health screening process is where I want to focus on. In speaking with our customers, they understand that this is an important area. It's really the first line of defense for your business. Not only do employees and visitors need to self-screen to determine if they're well enough to venture out, but you also need an effective screening process in place before you enter your building. However, this area is often the most overlooked when it comes to implementing a good safety strategy. It's just not enough to give your receptionist a thermometer. There's more to consider. An effective health screening process will address 3 key areas. First, it should be done in a way that is safe for all of those involved and respectful of the privacy of those being screened. So make sure you have a designated area for screenings and a way to screen people discreetly. Second, it's important to follow guidelines for social distancing using no-touch methods. If you have a slow manual process, you run the risk of people crowding into your entryway or lobby in the morning, and that just increases the chance that people could be exposed. And last, you need to make sure that you're keeping detailed, organized, and secured records. It's not enough to just have paper records stashed in a folder or on an Excel spreadsheet on a desktop. There's a possibility that those records could need to be pulled at any time to show Joe's entire health history for the past 2 weeks, or who was here to see Sharon last Tuesday. I would say that this is what our customers are asking us about the most. Their IT staff just doesn't have the time to build out a system from scratch that will do this effectively and safely. So Caleb, just what can businesses do to cover everything on this list without burdening their staff?
Thank you, Gretchen. I'd like to start by telling a couple examples and painting a picture around what we're seeing today. Many of us have had personal experiences associated with visiting businesses in this new era. I've personally had to answer CDC questions over the phone before I could even schedule an appointment. I also visited an ear doctor recently who gave instructions to call when I had arrived at the place and that they would bring me out the paperwork in which I answered those questions. Once I entered inside, they took my temperature and I was allowed to enter. We don't know how long these guidelines are going to be in place, but you need to make sure that whatever you're doing, it's going to be a good experience for your employees and for your customers. Because of this, businesses are striving for an easy to use and an easy to deploy solution to manage the return to work process. DocuWare addresses these processes by providing a no-touch check-in and check-out, making it fast and efficient, providing a history of everyone who's come in and left. And it's super simple to deploy and maintain. With DocuWare's online forms, employees and visitors can self-serve, submitting their details directly into the cloud-secured system from their smartphone. This triggers alerts to the screener or to the employees and can help monitor a building's capacity. Records are created automatically when the person submits their form and are stored in the cloud, so they remain protected from unauthorized access, but can easily be pulled up anytime that's needed. This solution can be implemented extremely quickly. Recently, we had a number of organizations purchase DocuWare to make this returning to work easier and more efficient. Here's an example of a use case. So think about school districts specifically for an example. We have visitors that need to come and visit, and we also have a lot of staff that are visiting every day, well, working there every day. So if someone wishes to enter the school, a visitor per se, they can simply fill out the form prior to coming to school. They could fill it at home off their desktop. All they would need is the URL to fill out the form. They can receive a confirmation email saying that they're okay to visit. This also provides contact tracing. If for some reason, somebody forgets or they just come to the school because they didn't fill out the form beforehand, we can embed that into a QR code for them to be able to do it as they arrive to the school. So let's go through this step by step. First we share the link with the employees and visitors, or we embed the link with the custom QR code to be placed at the entrance. Employees and visitors access the form as the first step to requesting access to the office. They complete the form with their information that you require for entry, like name, current symptoms, who they're here to see. They're either denied or approved entry based on their responses to these questions. If approved, the form automatically creates a new entry in the temperature checklist and triggers a notification to the receptionist. The receptionist completes the temperature screening and records it in the system, clearing the individual for entry into the office. And when the employee or visitor leaves, the receptionist checks them out of the system and retains a detailed record of their visit. So let's take a look at this in action. Okay, so here you can see my DocuWare desktop. I'm going to give you a very, very brief introduction to the interface. First, I want to just mention that DocuWare is a full-fledged document management and content services platform. It has the ability to store all your paper and content in a central repository. And once it's in there, it can apply some business rules and some automated workflows to those digital documents. On the left-hand side up here at the top, you see I've got document trays. I've got searches where I can look for information. I've got lists, which is where we're going to spend a lot of time today. And then I've got tasks, folders, and forms. The reason we're going to spend some time in lists, which are really just a predefined search query showing me documents that match up to certain criteria. So as we go through the demo, you're going to see a form get submitted and go to some different lists. So I'm only going to show you the visitor checking in process, but it's kind of the same for faculty or staff or employees of an organization as well. To demonstrate this, I'm going to show you my phone, which is going to launch here in this Air Server application. So just know that the DocuWare is kind of behind the scenes in the background here, and then you're seeing my phone here. So I'm going to simulate, somebody coming up to your office or your building, and you have a QR code on the door, and we're going to scan that code, and we're going to launch our browser. So this is going to take me to a DocuWare form that's going to ask me some questions, making sure that it's okay for me to enter the building. As I scroll down here, you can see that I've got, some questions. What type of visit is this? Who are you visiting? Company name if applicable, and some different information. That I got some questions to answer down here. So let's go ahead and fill out the form. So the first thing is I'm going to choose today's date. It assigns automatically an entry log number, so this is a unique identifier. What type of visit is it? I'm going to say I'm a vendor. And then here you can see who are you visiting. This could be a list of your employees. I'm going to put in John, that was his name right, John Smith. Email address. Sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time. But I'm going to show you an actual email that they give. I got to make sure that that's right. A phone number. And then here are my questions. So these are the questions that are actually created by the CDC, asking we should be asking everybody who enters into our organization. So, do you currently have any of the following symptoms? As long as I say no, it's going to take me to the next question. Are you currently awaiting the results of a COVID-19 test? No. Have you been diagnosed? If I say yes here, I'm going to get a little notification that my admittance is not granted. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. No, in the past 14 days, close proximity, no. And then I get this nice little green checkbox, hey, access is granted. So I need to go ahead and sign John S. and click submit. Now you'll see in the background on the DocuWare screen, you're actually going to see that that form is going to be submitted, and then it's going to send it straight into DocuWare. And so now I've got a new document in my visitor temp check. So at the same time that this just happened, John Smith also got an email. As soon as he filled out the form, he gets an email saying, hey, thanks for visiting us. Please proceed into the building if you haven't already to get your temperature taken. And we actually give him a copy of his form right here. So he checks in. We look at the form, validate. Page 2 shows that green check mark, John's been granted to come in. And I have a little stamp that I can say, hey, is the temperature in range, yes or no? If it's red, I simply stamp it, and John exits the building. We're going to go ahead and let him come in, and we click the stamp, and you're going to see that that document's going to move from the visitor temp check over to visitors in building. So simultaneously, when the form got filled out, we notified John to please come in and check in, but we also sent an email to Caleb saying, hey, John's in the lobby waiting for you. Can you please come escort him into the building? So all that happens dynamically. So we do our little visit. John's getting ready to leave. He's going to check in with the receptionist and say, hey, thanks for letting me come. I'm out of here. So the receptionist can simply access the forms, just like we talked about before, from a regular browser or from a mobile device. And they're just going to say, hey, let's go ahead and check them out. Now, this list is only going to show people who are in the building. So we're going to select John Smith. We're going to click submit, and he's going to leave the building. So that's really the gist of, scanning a QR code, filling out a little web form, coming into the building, getting my temperature checked, and it's all touch-free. So that's really ultimately what we're trying to accomplish here. So let's go back over to the slideshow and wrap up the presentation. So I want to bring up this checklist again that Gretchen shared earlier to summarize what we've just seen from DocuWare. It checks off all the boxes here, and as I mentioned earlier, it's super fast and easy to put in place. So you've seen how an automated DocuWare workflow can simplify the complexity of the health screening process. But before we wrap it up, I want to point out that DocuWare is a robust content services platform. It's used by over 12,000 customers today, and it helps them in many areas of their business. And with that, I will pass it back over to Gretchen.
Thanks, Caleb. And I think that's a really great point, and I want to expand on that just a bit. The health screening form is just one way DocuWare can improve how information moves through your business. With DocuWare, we've helped our customers work smarter, faster, and better by making it easier to access and use critical information wherever employees are working. This is especially important now. So just think of other areas of your business like accounts payable, accounts receivable, human resources that could benefit if document processing were faster, easier, and more accurate. Ricoh has been a trusted DocuWare partner for over 12 years. Our experts will work with you to tailor a solution that's unique for your challenges. Even if you have some initial questions or would like to talk through where you want to focus your efforts first, I definitely encourage you to reach out to your Ricoh representative. They can help you set up a custom demo and really identify where you can make the most impact in your business. We also did a webinar recently that goes into more detail about DocuWare called Work Better, Faster, and Deliver with Automation as part of our New World of Work webinar series that I mentioned earlier. Make sure you check it out on our website if you want to know more. And now we'd like to hear from you. What questions do you have for us? And what would you like to know more about? If you haven't already added your questions to the chat, I'll give you a minute to do that now. So we do have a few questions that are coming in. Our first question is that our company needs to include legal verbiage. Are your forms customizable? Caleb, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, just a quick check. Can you hear me okay? Are we good?
Yep, I can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, so the forms are completely customizable. So you can add whatever verbiage that you want on the form. I will throw one little extra thing in here. We do have the ability of, when you fill out a DocuWare form, we can overlay that information onto other documents. But if you're going to be capturing a signature or something on the DocuWare form, we would want to include all that legal verbiage to make sure they know what they're signing.
Okay, great. And another question we have is there any security features that are included, like CAPTCHA?
Yeah, so CAPTCHA is not available through our DocuWare forms right now. But our forms come in it's one flavor, but you can make a form a public form or you can leave it a private form. So if it's a private form within your organization, then the only people that can access it are people who have a username and a password to your DocuWare system, and DocuWare will automatically know who's filling out that form and who opened it if it's not public facing. So no on the CAPTCHA, yes on the requiring authentication to even open up the form if that's what you want to do.
Perfect. Let's see here. Oh, and one more question for Caleb. What type of devices are supported with your forms?
So the form is really just a URL, so it's a website. So if you can hit a website, you could use whatever device you wanted.
Perfect. So all mobile devices. So let's see here. So if there's any other questions, I'm just going to give it a few more minutes here to see if a few more come in. So one of the questions that we've gotten is the CDC information and getting questions about all of the CDC verbiage that we're using for our forms. And yes, we are going directly to the CDC to extract information to put on our forms. So those are all variable based on the client's needs. So obviously CDC has issued certain questions that they need to have asked. You can also add questions of your own if you want something for your specific department or your building. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything else. Caleb, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think I'm good. Obviously, you reach out to your local contacts, and if you have any further questions, we can help you out.
Absolutely. So if anybody has any additional questions that come up after this webinar that you would like to have addressed, please reach out to your sales representative. They can certainly assist you. Other than that, we thank you for joining us today. We hope you all have a great day. Thank you.